I wanted to go over the supplies that I used to create these little ditties. So the first thing I did was I have a piece of craft paper. You could use any paper you have, and in fact I've even done this exact same technique on patterned paper. So whatever your heart's desire is, that is what you can use. I chose 3 different stencils, a kind of larger one, medium, and small. These are from the Crafter's Workshop. Then I have my perfect paints. I have dried cranberries, polishing plaster, and dove's wings, polishing plaster. And I have a palette knife, which is key. Paintbrush. Some petaloo flowers. The Tim Holtz Alterations, what is this? The mini heart set. Love, love, love these, and they are just absolutely perfect for the little love notes. And here are the cut pieces, and what I did was I just took various scraps of textiles that I had laying around, canvas and burlap and flute, and even notebook paper, and cut shapes from the die. I had a doilies, some yarn. I even have some vintage ribbon. This is strands from a canvas that I tore. Some leaves, and we have cheesecloth. A ball of twine here. So that's kind of basically, oh wait, I forgot, and I've got some tattered angels. I have silver, sugar, precious metals, bronze, and barn red. So I have my piece of craft paper, and I'm going to take out some of the dried cranberries, the polishing plaster, and I like to knead, for a better word to use, my polishing plaster so that it becomes softer and more malleable and easy to use. Then I've got my dove's wings, which the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a pink using the dove's wings. And the dried cranberries. You always add your darker color to your lighter color in smaller increments so that you can check your color as to what you're getting. So I'm just folding these 2 colors together. And actually, I'm not real concerned on totally mixing these. I love this variegated color that you get. I always think it's very, very cool. So we're going to start with our stencils. I'm just going to randomly apply my polishing plasters through the stencil onto my paper. So there I have my first layer of my texture medium, the polishing plaster. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dry this till it's tacky, and then we'll put the next layer on. My first layer of polishing plaster has been put down. It's dry to the touch. Maybe a little damp here and there, but I am so just not a very patient person. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out another dab of my dove's wings. Once again, I'm going to knead it back and forth and kind of make it a little more softer to work with. Then I'm going to take my second stencil that I have, and I'm just going to gently place it over top, and I'm just going to apply more texture medium. And I'm overlapping some of the layers, as you can see, and just randomly applying this to my paper. And I'm not pushing really, really hard because once again, the underneath layer is not 100% dry. If you feel more comfortable, feel free to dry that first layer the whole way. So then what do you do with this leftover that you have on your craft mat? I really don't want any more white on here. So what do you do with that? I have a stash of tags that I keep at my ready. So I'm just going to take this and apply it, because we don't want to waste our leftovers, because this can be used at a later date to create something fun. All right, so now we're going to go through the process again of drying layer number 2 so that we can apply layer number 3. Now, layer 2 is fairly dry, and I'm going to go and apply layer 3. So for layer 3, I'm using the dried cranberries polishing plaster right here. And I already have some out on my craft mat, so I'm just going to rework that. I'll probably need some more. And now I'm just going to apply this randomly onto my paper. Now remember, the pieces that you're going to cut are very, very, very small. So we're just trying to cover as much of the area on our paper. Need a little bit more dried cranberries here. So that each little background has some color in it. All right, so there I have my 3 layers of color on my craft mat, and I'm going to totally dry this now, and I'll come back with the next step. Now, of course, I've got all this left over, and I'm not really always a big fan about putting product back into my jar, because I'm such a messy crafter that I'm sure that there is stuff everywhere. So I'm going to take this stencil and use up my leftover medium that I have on my craft mat, because we don't want to waste it. We want to use up those tovers. Whoop. And there we have it. Perfect. All right, so I'm off to dry. Now, a little tip about drying. When I'm drying my papers that have any type of moisture or anything on them, which of course the polishing plaster is going to, I dry from both sides, and it helps to even out the paper so that it's not quite so rumply. So I just go through and just kind of dry it on both sides, and it keeps the paper a little bit more flat than it would if you just dried on one side. Okay, so that's dry. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some glimmer mist, which I have chosen silver sugar, and I think I'm going to use bronze. And I'm just going to spray randomly on my paper until I'm happy with it. Now the bronze isn't giving it a whole lot of color. It's kind of adding a little pink hue. And now that I'm happy with that, I'm going to dry it. So the basis for my love notes were these little tiny envelopes that I had found at a yard sale. I just couldn't pass them up. I didn't know why I had to buy them, but I bought them because I'm a crafter and I'm a hoarder, and I just have to have little cute things that I think are amazing. So after years of holding these, I have finally decided to make something. So what I did was I measured the envelope. So it's 2 5/8 by 3.5. So originally I was going to use this paper as the whole love note, and I was like, well, that's kind of silly. So I actually cut little cards, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut fronts, little backgrounds that are going to go onto the cards instead of actually using my paper. Now, a hint, when cutting through your textured paper, it is easier if you flip your paper over and you cut it from the back side. Your trimmer will have less of a chance of getting all hung up on all the texture that's on the front of it. So I cut these at 2 inches by 2 3/4. So we'll do the first cut at 2 3/4. See how easily that cuts? And the rest of them will just all be 2 inches. And there you have these wonderful pieces of background paper in which to create your little love notes from. And as I said, I just cut up scrap pieces of paper. And there they are. And they're all different. That's what's so cool about it. So I just cut up various pieces of scrap paper to create all the little pieces, parts that I used on my cards, on my little love notes, to create all of this cuteness. And here's another one. They've been engulfed and eaten up by my pile of junk over here. And here's another one. So there you have my little love notes. I hope you've enjoyed this quick little tutorial on how to make the background paper, and enjoy your creative process to make these your own personal little love notes to give to friends, families, and the loves in your lives. Thank you for stopping by. Have a creative day. Bye-bye.